Welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. My name is Lüning, Horst Lüning, and I'm the master taster of Whisky.com. And today we're in the week of the Aberlour whiskies. And today I taste the Aberlour A'bunadh Cask Strength whiskey. And A'bunadh means the original in Gaelic. So it means it's coming out from the cask, undiluted, fabricated in batches, and every batch is slightly different as it was in former times. There are several batches coming out every year from Aberlour, and in the moment in 2014 we're at the change, late summer, we're at the change of batch 44 to batch 45. The A'bunadh firstly appeared in, I'm not quite sure. I think it was before 2000. Yes, definitely. And in the beginning, up to batch 29, 30, something around this, there had been a green card box. And the bottle was already this bulgy bottle, but the label was taller. The change appeared in 2010, I think. So the bottle, the A'bunadh, is quite old now, quite long on the market, but the new design with these round tubes and the new label is from 2010. The cask strength does not mean that this whiskey is from a single cask. No. Cask strength means, by the changes in regulation in 2009, that if you mix casks and do not add water later on, you may bottle a batch out of several casks and call them cask strength. This has been different in former times. Before 2009, then you were able to call a whiskey which was only high proof to be a cask strength. So now they have to say high proof or whatever, but if you say cask strength, then your batch may not have added water. Here we have 44. Here in the middle you can see 44, and it's 59.7 ABV. And I'm not quite sure how many bottles are in a batch, but if we see how many bottles are sold all around the world of this batch, then I would say 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 bottles may be in a batch. This is now 45 and it has 60.2 ABV. This is quite a high ABV. Most of the distilleries still fill their whiskey with 63.5% ABV in their casks because they are able, or they were able, to easily interchange casks between distilleries, between blending companies. If everybody filled 63.5 in their casks, and then a cask was 8 years old and he changed it, or they changed it with a different cask 8 years old, they didn't measure how much is in this cask and how the ABV is. Much too tedious, a lot of work, no. They just changed casks of the same age. All the process of malt whiskey manufacturing is optimized on 63.5% ABV. So they still keep with the 63.5, and if you see bottles with 60.2, then the whiskey can't be very old, because you lose ABV every year, every day. And I would suggest 60.2% you may reach in 5, 6 years, 7 years. A 10-year-old most often has less. Difficult to say how old this whiskey will be. This one is non-colored and it's dark, So there are lots of, if not all, first filled sherry casks in this whiskey. And this is very, very interesting for the connoisseur. So let's have a look into the bottle, and like last time I have to use a knife to open this wax seal on top. Be careful not to cut into the gap between the bottle and the cork head made out of wood, because you might cut the glue between the head and the cork, and then you will lose stability in the cork, and you may end up getting the wooden top and the cork still resides in the bottle, and you have a problem. I will not sip on this whiskey without any dilution. I will dilute because alcohol in such a high ABV is paralyzing your taste buds in your mouth. It's a neurotoxin, alcohol. So be careful not to bring a too high ABV in your mouth. You often hear, you can only have the full impression of this whiskey if it's full ABV, and only then you have the full aroma in the whiskey. This is not my opinion. My opinion is alcohol is a solvent, and aromatic compounds, substances are solved in this alcohol, and if you dilute the whiskey to a less ABV, then the alcohol has to release those substances because it can't longer carry those substances in the liquid, so they have to come out of the whiskey, and then it's the time to sniff very shortly after diluting your whiskey. Whew. Very fresh. Apples, pears, light fruits, a little citrus notes in the whiskey. Like a sour apple, like those green ones, those Granny Smith, intermixing with the citrus fruit. There might be a very little smokiness in this whiskey, but I think this high ABV and this aromatic fresh fruits fool my mind, so that I think it's smoke, and it isn't really. Yeah, have a little water. And last time I've been in Scotland, not long ago, I brought a bottle of still water with me. So it's an authentic dilution with the Scotch water. Strathmore. So now it comes down to roughly 50%, and now the aromas rise out of the whiskey. A lot more to taste. Less sharp alcohol is covering the aromas. The aromas appear really. A little syrup, sweetness, some oiliness. Yeah. More citrus on your tongue. Yes, a lot. And perhaps a little honey in the back. Mouth-watering. Sherry aroma. Wonderful whiskey. And 50% is quite a lot, so it's still strong in my mouth. And this is a good thing. You're able to dilute this whiskey as you like it. Somebody won't dilute it at all, and the others will dilute it down to a 40 or 35%, whatever they like. But the casks are chosen in that way that you can't dilute too much. I took a former batch of this and had a dilution down to 40%. I measured it with a spindle, and I rested for an hour, and then it was close to the Aberlour 10-year-old I tasted here. Far less aromatic than the 12-year-old unchill filtered I had here. So don't wait too long. After your dilution, you will lose aromas. So, a wonderful spirit. I imagine that this whiskey, is not too old, less than 10 years, of course. The power of the whiskey compensates for the missing age. It's quite expensive, more expensive than the 12-year-old non-chill filtered, but it has a higher ABV, so if you dilute to a 40 or 45%, you reach longer with that bottle. So the additional amount of money you spend won't hurt you so much because there's more in this bottle. More to dilute, more to savor. Thank you for watching Whisky.com. There's more to come. You see the bottles here on my cask. Stay tuned. Feel free to share this video with your friends and discuss this bottle with me on our newly opened forum on Whisky.com.